What's going on, guys? Finally got around to watching some of Zaire Barnes and Jarek Bernard-Converse film. A couple of late draft round picks by the New York Jets at linebacker and safety, respectively. And I got to say, on Barnes, impressed. Picked him. I'm like, just kind of a special teamer, right? Had a UDFA profile. And he was flashing and making plays constantly in the run game. Constantly. Really physical. In fact, when I was watching Pitt, there was Zaire Barnes coming in and crushing Izzy Abanikanda a couple of times before I got my hands on Barnes film. And in the 4-3, he kind of played out in the slot a bit, and he just had the speed to whip right around these pulling guards, and even they tried to block him with slot receivers sometimes and tight ends, and he's just coming into the box and making plays, playing downhill over and over and over again. And then, of course, can he be a coverage linebacker? Well, then you find out why he was a late-round draft pick. The coverage is pretty brutal, pretty bad. Just didn't really have the instincts, the fluidity of movement. He does have limited length, and he really reminds me a lot of a similar profile to Quincy Williams, right? A guy with good speed who's going to make some pretty high impact hits and set a tone of physicality, but going to be an inconsistent tackler and really struggle in coverage. And you might say, well, great, why do we need another Quincy Williams? And I would say, well, if he becomes that level of a player, that's a starting caliber player that's worth $6 million, and you got him in the 6th round, that's a good pick. That's a good pick, even if it's not the perfect skill set that you want to complement the rest of your roster on Zaire Barnes. So I don't want to completely hype up one of these 6th round picks who, not even a guarantee that he makes the team. But I will say I was impressed with his ability in the run game. They did blitz him a lot. He blitzed quite a bit. And he had the speed to, get to the quarterback when he was unblocked. But once there was a running back in there in his way, he didn't really have a plan to get around him. He didn't really have the strength to run him over. So pretty inefficient as a blitzer as well. But again, just playing downhill as a run defender. Good instincts, good speed, decent enough tackling on Zaire Barnes. Bernard-Converse, and it was a 4-game sample on Barnes too, so not the whole season or anything. And Converse, I just got like 2.5 games in. I just wanted to make a video before I get a bigger sample size. And the very first play I watched, he gets toasted for a 60-plus yard touchdown. Not ideal. Lined up at corner. And yeah, the tape's pretty rough. You figure if you have almost a 10 RAS score and you're falling to the 6th, 7th round, your tape is probably pretty brutal. Just like Zach Kuntz, right? So it is. And I think the biggest problem is the change of direction, the swiveling of the hips against wide receivers in and out of their breaks. And I think that's why he's going to move to safety. So he's a RAS score dart throw, and how well he'll transition from corner to safety, I don't know. I'm not that versed at watching film to pretend to know, okay, but he made this mistake here and this isn't going to matter as much as safety. I don't know. I'm sure Joe Blewett or somebody who knows better will have a film review out soon, but those are just my initial takeaways on these two players. Zaire Barnes, like it. Jarek Bernard-Converse, it's pretty rough. And we'll talk ball soon.